Another tool that we can really kind of use is a kind of a technique or a tool, you call it as a tool as well. It's called POLDAT. So basically what we do is we actually plot anything that you want to do in terms of your change, your program, your project, a task. It could be a career choice. What we do is we try and plot it, understand what are the different variables that it would affect, what are the other aspects of the work or the life that it would touch upon, and then you kind of understand what's needed in those areas. So for example, if it's a business process, we start with the business process, we start with the project, product, process, or whatever it is that we're trying to look at and prioritize. And then we try and locate, we try and understand, identify all the potential areas that it could have an impact on. So for example, if you're moving from one city to another city, you're relocating, right? So what are the impacts of that task? So you're actually moving houses, for example, from one area to another area in the same city or a different city. You would need to, for example, update your location information in the post. You need to update all your credit card, your utility bills, and everything needs to be updated. That's one important thing. Your data. So in terms of your own data, for example, if you're dealing with any of the, for example, you've got insurance companies, if you've got car insurance, DVLA, all these, driving authorities, you need to let them know. So all these things. And then what kind of technology? So you need to also make sure that you consider a move in terms of your media that is available. For example, your broadband, your TV, the Sky, or any of these other Virgin Media, all of these, the internet service provider, you need to consider that. And then in terms of your organization, how you would structure your new house, the neighborhood, and your own family, the different rooms in there, what kind of, how much you need to also plan for the, the distance between your schools, offices, the train stations, and so on and so forth. All of these really come into picture. So you see that there is an impact in terms of whatever you do. Even a simple thing like your moving houses has a significant impact on a lot of different things. So we need to identify all these areas that potentially could impact. So in the context of our e-commerce website for this, for selling the mobile accessories, the example that we've been taking consistently. So if it were to do with, for example, creating a catalog and going live, so what are the implications? What are the kind of applications that it would potentially have? What is the location information? What is geographies? What kind of data it could potentially help collect from the customers or give to the customers, right? What technology would it actually need? Does it need just a front-end technology? Does it need a back-end one? What kind of database we are storing these items details in? Does it need a dynamic addition, dynamic way to manage the items in the catalog? So which means that we need to have a CMS, a content management system, to be able to add more items. Currently, let's say we have got only 5 products. For example, we've got a screen protector, we've got a case to carry the mobile phone, we've got a stand, mobile stand, and so on and so forth, about 5 of them. But do you think that those are all the things that we're going to sell in the next few months and years? Not necessary. We can add more. We can change some of these, right? So in which case you need some amount of freedom available to you as a business person to be able to make the change yourself instead of depending on the technology team. So if you want to do that, then you need a CMS, a content management system in some format. And so it could be as simple as just a page to add the item, like add item detail, item description, item title, item photo, and things like that. If you just want to add that, even that is an application that you need. So the technology for that could be on the front end, you need an HTML page. On the back end, once you enter the details in the page and then say press submit, that should go into the database and store persistently, a permanent storage of that data for later use. In which case you might need a database, a MySQL, or a simple Microsoft SQL, or whatever it is. So here in this context, we're talking about all the possible options that are required for us to even consider this prioritization of catalog, going live with the catalog functionality by November, for example. And then we also need to look at there are multiple aspects that are involved. One is the customer element to it. How can we be more customer centric? And that's where the agile development comes in. How can we take it to the customers, go beta live, go live with the beta launch of this product by November, and then say, hey, by the way, we are working on a new website. have a go with this. Please let us know your feedback, blah, blah, blah. So we can actually kind of do an alpha version or a beta launch of this website to not the entire world, but at least about 50, 100 users that we know of. So that's another way to engage the customers and get the feedback. And the channel could be multiple channels. We talked about the channels yesterday. It could be mobile, it could be web, it could be enterprise, laptops and mobile phones, tablets. There are a whole plethora of channels that we have available. Online, digital, internet is driving the whole kind of engagement to a different level nowadays with the social media platforms. So that's where the people are there. So you want to go where the people are already there instead of building something new. So you need to approach this whole spectrum of the prioritization elements, considering all the angles that you have. So again, very important tool for your prioritization, POLDAT. And then in terms of the options, so for example, you've got multiple options. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got at least 5 or 10 options that you want to choose from. Then in terms of choosing which is the best option for you and give the prioritization to that one, you need some help. It can't be kind of subjective every time. It can't be just, take a finger in the air and say, okay, this is the best one. So in order to do that, you need to actually take kind of objective look at it. And that's where PERG matrix is very, very helpful. It actually gives you can actually give the ratings to all the criteria that are important to you. And then you can add some weightage to each of the criteria, depending on how important, how relevant, and how current it is to the context of what you're trying to consider. And then that would help you to decide which is the best option. Case in point here is actually, this is an example I've taken from one of the case studies to do with food hygiene. So you actually consider maintenance, quick to implement, simple to operate. So you're talking about hospitality industry, a restaurant, for example. And then you're actually trying to look at a restaurant and rate the restaurant in terms of how it would fare and rate for the various criteria. It could be in terms of low maintenance, quick to implement. It could be something, it could be, for example, if it is selecting the best restaurant in the world, Michelin rating, for example, then they've got several criteria, and within each criteria, they've got different parameters to consider. And then they'll give the rating, and then there is a weighting attached to that. You can actually give a weighted rating to each of the criteria, and then that would give you you multiply these factors and it will arrive at the rank. So depending on the weightage. So that's, again, if you ask me what is the procedure, there's no such hard and fast rule that you need to go only with one way. The whole idea is to take a set of criteria, identify the options, and then attach some parameters to that, and then have the ratings worked out, come up with the weightage, and then finally you'll come up with the ranks in terms of what is the best option available. You can use it again, pretty much very popular tool and technique that you can use for in the development aspect as well. And then another way to prioritize, to help you prioritize and decide what could be the best option for you to choose in terms of your product features, is what we call as innovation games. It's a very interesting concept I've used in a number of cases, very helpful. So basically, what are the innovation games? They're played by people from the same team. You can actually get some people from within the same team or from different angles, different other teams. And then you can try and encourage those teams. You can actually bring in the concept of the teamwork and collaboration in there. And then you actually can help identify the problems. So basically brainstorming, for instance, brainwriting, brainstorming, post-ups. All of these are some of the exercises that you can try and do with the groups to help introduce the aspect of the collaborative product development. So some of the examples for these games are like buy a feature, 2020 vision, prune the product tree, give them a hot tub. So if you search up, I can actually take one more session separately later to actually only focus on innovation games. Very, very interesting topic, and very relevant to coming up with creative ideas and solutions. So buy a feature, I'll just talk about buy a feature and 2020 vision, for example, just so that you get an idea. So buy a feature is basically you get some people within the within the team. They could be business, technology, they could be people in operations, infrastructure, irrespective of what role they perform, you actually kind of get these different people into the same room, and you try and make the environment in a way that is not serious like work, but actually kind of more engaging, more fun. And now with that in context, what you try and do is you actually give the so on the back of the cards, you can actually write some, you can take some cards like these, and then you can write some virtual money like 3,000, 2,000, 4,000. It could be dollars, pounds, or whatever, it doesn't matter. So you actually kind of create the currency cards, and then you create a virtual currency, and you distribute this currency of, let's say, $10,000 or 10,000 pounds to each of these people. And then what you do is I would read out each and every feature, and depending on how important you think that is, you would actually place your bet and your money on that feature. So for example, in the context of our e-commerce website we're talking about, I would read out, let's say, having a catalog of products. That's a feature. So I'll just read that out. So depending on that, the people around the table would actually put that, oh, is it important to me from business angle, from technology, from operations, whatever it is from my perspective, I would actually place, let's say, $1,000 on that. And somebody else might think it's very, very important because it's the first thing. So I'll pay 2,000 for that, or 500, or whatever it is, depending on their interest. And then I would read out, so that would have some set of amount accumulated for that. Let's say it is 3,500 for the catalog. And then the other one is basically, I will read out payment processing, the ability to process the payments through virtual cards or online cards. That's another feature from the product, right? From the e-commerce website. So I will read it out. And for that, again, people would actually place their money. So effectively for each feature, I would have these read out, and people would actually buy that feature to show that that is important to them, that actually they mean business to that. And then at the end of it, for each feature, we would list out how much it is worth in terms of the money. So for example, the catalog could come out to be 3,500, shopping cart could come out to be 6,000 pounds. And then you've got payment processing, outsourcing that to somebody else, or doing it ourselves. So depending on these different features, you actually have got the amounts for each of these features. And the one that has got the most money, most value, would obviously be the first one to do. So now you realize why it is so important for us to come up with the prioritization, right? So here, you're not taking a decision yourself, but it is actually being driven by a team, by a group of people who have got vested interests, who have got some kind of investment into that, whether they're from business, they're from technology, infrastructure, operations, customer management, customer service, doesn't matter. So you're trying to involve and engage